Hi guys, question for you. What do you do when you're talking to someone who supports homosexuality but also claims to be a Christian, and they use an argument that goes something like this? It's not an important issue, let's not divide over subtle details. Are they right? Is homosexuality an issue that we as Christians should divide over? Let's talk about it. For reference, I'm going to be using this book by Joe Dallas. So, if somebody comes up to you and they're claiming to be a Christian but also claiming to support homosexuality, and they claim that that's not an issue that you should divide over as believers, what do you do? Well, the first response that you can have to that is something like this. When confrontation is called for, communion is sin. In other words, if the Bible says that something is wrong and you should avoid it, then it would be a sin to have fellowship with people who think it's okay to do that thing. For example, the Bible says in 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verses 11 through 13, that if you're a Christian, you should not hang out with other Christians who practice things like sexual immorality, idolatry, violence, greed, etc. So, we know the Bible is clear that homosexuality is a sin and constitutes sexual immorality. So as Christians, we shouldn't even hang out with other Christians that support that view because it would be wrong. Our second response that we could have to such an argument is that minimization moves us towards revision. In other words, if you're willing to compromise on something about homosexuality, wouldn't you maybe be willing to compromise about something else? Something really, really central, like the deity of Christ? If we're willing to compromise on what the Bible says about something like homosexuality, we can very easily be willing to compromise on something bigger, such as the deity of Christ or the problem of sin. Okay? So, if somebody ever has the argument, well, it's not a key doctrine, so we shouldn't separate over it, you can simply tell them that, well, when the Bible says something is sin, it actually is a sin to have fellowship with another believer that supports that sin. And if you're willing to compromise on homosexuality being a sin, you might be willing to compromise on something else being a sin, and I don't want that to rub off on me because I don't want to compromise either. All right? So there's a thought for you to think about today. Have a great day.